Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it down. Can't be afraid to leave this out. We got this far, don't know how. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it just like the sunrise. We're gonna let it away. Just like a spark that's breaking out. Can't make a stop, can't turn back now. We know that there's no room for doubt. No, we can't turn back now. I see danger in your eyes. They know we'll burn down the night. Coming just like the sunrise. You know that we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Tonight, we're gonna let it away. Just like the sunrise, we're gonna let it away.
Ember. Oh, Ember.
Miss Ember.
Oh, great, Ember. Tell me what I'm doing.
Appreciate you, Ember.
Love Ember. She's great.
Bottom of the barrel Ember bullshit.
Oh my God, Ember.
Ember.
We love you, Ember.
You rock at that, Ember.
Ember is the queen.
We're neighbors, Ember.
I see you, Ember.
Hey, Ember is hot.
Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. And as you know, Thor brings the thunder. Holy crap. Today is festive. Lil, you seem to have grown an unusual appendage.
Yes.
She's Drug-shaped Dr. Kip is joining us for opinion. But human-shaped Dr. Kip will be joining us next Thursday because we're doing a whole bunch of ancient stuff next week, and Thursday will be the first laws. And Dr. Kip has thoughts. So yay. I'm stoked. I've been trying to get Dr. Kip for a while. I've been promising. First I harassed him about getting the book out as an audiobook, his book God's Propaganda, for all two of you who don't know. He finally got it out as an audiobook. And I've been very slowly making my way through it. And I'm like, I want to have you on to talk about the book, but I want to finish the book first. And it's taking me so damn long. I'm like, hey, let's do ancient laws. So, yay. I digress. Lil, before we even get started, you have a thing coming up later. Would you like to talk about that?
Yes, at 1 p.m. Central Eastern Time, I have Politicality. It will be... Do what?
Central Eastern?
did I say Central Eastern? Sorry, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. It will be on both the Kentucky Atheist channel and my channel, but we will be there for politicality for 2 hours of political nonsense that's gone on in the last week.
And there's so much. I mean, just for example, those of you who caught my bonus show yesterday, I did half an hour just on Greenland. Like, there's never a shortage of political stuff to talk about, but the Greenland thing is fucking hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
But that's present day stuff. Today, we're talking about the year without sun, or the original end of the world, or the repeat of the Bronze Age collapse, or however you want to look at it. There already was a cataclysm that effectively ended the world centuries ago. And it's crazy to me that we never hear about it in history class. Like, it's a combination of things. Believed to be a volcanic eruption in the year 536, possibly more than one, although we don't know which volcano it was, or it's wild. But it's believed to be a volcanic event that triggered a chain of catastrophes, from climate failure to famine to plague, and eventually the collapse of empires. The effects are still resonating through the world today. It's wild that this is just, it's not hidden exactly, but it's just never talked about. And so I'm like, hey, let's do the end of the world in the middle of the week. It'll be fun. And Lil's like, fuck yes. So you have thoughts before we start digging into details. You have thoughts about cataclysms and the ensuing consequences, I suppose.
Yeah, this is one of those things that when I learned about it and I started digging into it, I'm just like, how the crap did I never learn any of this? Because it led to, like, possibly the plague happening in Byzantium, which was actually the first round of Black Death. A lot of people think the Black Death is the one that happened in the 14th century in Europe, like the big one. It was called the Plague of Justinian. That started not long after.
Justinian.
Do it.
Damn it, Justinian.
Yeah. It led to, like, a ton of famine. Personally, I still kind of like the theory that it was Krakatoa that erupted, because we've seen a cataclysmic eruption and the evidence shows that it will, like, build up itself and then blow itself to pieces and then spend centuries rebuilding itself and then blow itself to pieces again. We've seen it do that at least once. So we'll see. But
I mean, there's a lot of volcanoes that can get crazy explosive. Now, we've seen some big eruptions in our own lifetimes. Kilauea in Hawaii, for example, has been erupting for like 40 years straight, but it's kind of a continuous lava flow eruption rather than a big old blast of ash and nonsense. We've seen Mount St. Helens literally explode in many of us, our lifetimes. I missed it by that much, but details. We've seen the volcanoes in Iceland shut down Europe for weeks because of the ash making air travel impossible, and other various things. We're talking about an ash cloud big enough that it blocked out the sun worldwide for over a year, and had continuing climate effects for quite a while past that. We're talking about an event that set the Huns in motion so that centuries down the line, they would come to Europe. We're talking about an event that was written about in history books from Ireland to China and seems to have influenced histories in Mesoamerica. Like, this left a dent on history, not just a few weeks of inconvenience for air travelers, you know?
Yeah. One thing about volcanic eruptions, if anybody remembers the Tonga eruption that happened a couple years ago, like, that blocked out some of the sun to the point that it did lower the global temperature for like a year. So, like, yes, it does need to be a big eruption, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see like ash and the sky and stuff. But yeah, like it because what it does is it reflects sunlight back out and essentially doesn't let it hit the ground. So yeah, and it affects everything.
It depends on the nature of the ash too. Like heavier particulates will precipitate out faster. The lighter, the fine fines, they can stay up there for months and months and months. And some will let some wavelengths through, but not others. For example, a lot of the historical descriptions from 536 talk of the sun being visible, but the color being weird. And while they could see the sun, the light didn't seem to make it to the ground. Like nothing had shadows. And it's wild, the different properties.
Same thing with Krakatoa. That it Kip has opinions. That with Krakatoa, one of the things, what am I blanking on who made that? But the painting the scream, one of the big things of that a lot of historians are kind of arguing over is whether that was not just political or whether that was not just artistic interpretation of the sky, but if the sky really was that red. And it seems like it should have been. And there's a lot of people talking about how red it was.
It's plausible. I've seen red skies myself from wildfires in Canada. Like that's low grade ash from forest fires. But you can, I've seen the sky turn green from various contaminants. The sky turns every fucking color you can think of. But yeah, like the whole sky being red, the whole ground, like somebody put a filter, a gel over the sun, you know? It's very surreal. It makes for great photography though, I have to say.
And
unique opportunities. I've been trying to get people to do portraits with me during eclipses for ages. There was the one a couple of years ago. There was the one 7 years before that. For some reason, people don't want to spend the 4 minutes of the eclipse posing for portraits and not looking at the eclipse. I can't imagine why. It'd be the most unique portraits ever, but whatever.
Hey, let me know. I'm game.
C'est la vie. Anyway, speaking of celestial stuff, I do have a couple of things before we really start digging in. First of all, I finally fixed the flag problem. Now, I realize it's only been a day, but behold, flag version. Now, for those of you not aware, in 2024, NASA researcher Rachel Lenz put together the space pride flag. She made the pride flag out of NASA images. In 2025, the incoming presidential administration deleted it and every reference to it on government websites. So I went and found the images the original was made from, and then I gathered more space images to add the parts of the flag that were missing from the original. And so now we have the upgraded space pride flag. And I finally found, now you'll notice the rings, the intersex ring is different. This is the print version. I finally got the flag version working, and the ring is smaller because of where the bigger one would have been cut off because of the size, the differences in format. So that's why the ring is smaller. I kind of like it though. I mean, I like both ways. What can I say? I'm very queer. I like it both ways. In any case, the flag is a little bit more expensive than you might be used to with pride flags. You can find it in the store at betterthanember.com. I also got carried away with designing things, and I made a dress. This is a recreation of my own original trans dress, because there isn't trans flag attire that's flattering. So I designed my own, but I lost access to the original I made. It doesn't really fit me very well anyway. So I designed a new one. That's a new one that's also on the Ember store, but I digress. The flag thing, I got sorted out, but often you can get pride flags on the internet, like these small ones. You can get like a 50 pack for $15, or you can get like a full size flag for like $7, maybe $8, depending on where you get it from. There's two important things. The first stuff, those are like solid color stripes. They're easy to make. This is like galaxies and suns and things. It requires detail. That's a little more expensive. Another is those pride flags, the general pride flags, can be mass produced. Because I am a very small channel, my products have to be made one at a time, which means no mass production, which means the prices are higher. So it's a little more expensive, but you got to admit, it's much fucking cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's something I helped make. Yeah. But it is available in flag form. So I've made sure to list the things clearly. One says print in all caps on it, and one says flag in all caps on it, because the print version is cheaper, but it's not actually a flag. It's an art print. So hooray. So all of those things. And now, before we dip into the cataclysm, because
are you about to engage in blasphemy?
Probably.
I mean, it's not exactly blasphemy to talk about a historical eruption, but whatever. I mean, you can tie this to a whole bunch of stuff, like the crop failures all across Europe and the Near East tremendously weakened the Eastern Empire. That's why the plague of Justinian happened and why they called it the plague of Justinian. In many ways, it made the rise of Islam possible, which reshaped all of history. But I digress. Before we begin an invasion, a plague, a massive destructive event, we need to hydrate. Hey folks, I've been working hard on my health, and so far I've lost over 140 pounds. A huge part of good health is hydration. That's why I'm thrilled to partner with Epic Water Filters. Check this out. Not only can you say goodbye to expensive bottled water, but these filters are made in the US, so no tariffs, and they're made to fit your life. From these lovely pitchers I can fill from, to sink units, to portable filters that fit in your reusable bottle. With Epic, I can refill from nature's water sources and not have to worry about bacteria and whatnot. But also, send back a used filter to be responsibly recycled, and they'll send you a free replacement, saving you and the earth even more. Want to save a ton of money, be healthier, and build a better world? Head to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code EMBER15 at checkout for 15% off. Don't settle for random water. Upgrade to Epic. Okay, now that we're actually, I think I forgot to refill my thing, so I will get to that now. I should have done it during the break, but I'm bad at my job, folks. What can I say? Yeah, I'll just do it. It'll be fine. I do in fact have my thing. Yes, I'm refilling my Epic water bottle from my Epic filter pitcher thing. It's very epic that way, but it's also awfully convenient, because if I run out of liquids during a stream, I can just make a stream. That came out wrong. It's fine. But, it's handy, because I haven't done one in a while, but I have been known to do ridiculously long streams. Like my first birthday stream, I did 12 hours. I just kept going, and I don't think I could do that again without breaks, but I don't have to get up to, refill my water. At least it's something. Okay, let's get to the point, shall we? All right. So this is called the volcanic winter of 536, but it's not just what happened. My goodness. So this is how old the damn thing is. This is a tombstone from the chapel of I can't pronounce things, folks. I'm way too American. Filippo e Giacomo from Nozido, dated to 536, the second year after the consulship of Decius Paulinus, or Paulinus Jr., to distinguish him from Paulinus the Elder, a Roman aristocrat. It's not important. It's very old. It happened a long time ago. Okay. It was among one of the most severe and protracted episodes of climactic cooling in the Northern Hemisphere in the last 2,000 years. The volcanic winter was caused by at least 3 eruptions of uncertain origin, with several possible locations proposed in various continents. In early 536, or possibly late 535, depending on where you put the new year. It was sort of contentious at the time. An eruption ejected great amounts of sulfate aerosols into the atmosphere. These are very tiny little bitty bits. Looks like it says 90 micrometers. So it's human hair size particles. Diameter size, but not length. Never mind. Not important. Sulfate aerosols into the atmosphere, reducing the solar radiation reaching the Earth's surface and cooling the atmosphere for several years. In March 536, Constantinople, the capital of the remaining Roman Empire, began experiencing darkened skies and lower temperatures. Summer temperatures in 536 fell by as much as 2.5 degrees Celsius across Europe. We obviously, people didn't have thermometers the way we do today. There were ways of measuring temperature and weather, but they weren't as precise as our modern instrumentation. Most of what we get from climatic data either comes from glaciers in the Alps or dendrochronology, tree ring stuff. We can tell a great deal of the varves in some places. There's a bunch of different ways we can see through time and gather climatic data to a specific year. Anything that leaves rings, we can count back to a specific year. It's pretty neat. So the lingering effect of that volcanic winter was augmented in the year 539 or 540 when another eruption caused summer temperatures to decline as much as 2.5 degrees Celsius, 2.7 degrees Celsius below normal. So suddenly we're going from like 1 year with no sun to the better part of a decade with temperatures far below normal. And remember, this is average, right? When we're talking about climatic average, you're still going to have warm days and you're still going to have cold days. But if your average is lower, then the warms are going to be lower and the lows are going to be lower. And the lows being lower is the problem if you're trying to grow crops. Now, your high being too high can be a problem too. But specifically what we're talking about here is frosts happening before harvests are ready and causing crop failures, or frosts happening too late in the year and causing crop failures. The newly sprouted grains and shit. It's very bad for business. It's going to fuck up your agriculture.
Or even just like the weather being crazy. Like if you have a unusually wet season, it's going to fuck up your crops. If you have an unusually dry season, it's going to fuck up your crops. You're not going to yield as much as you normally would. It's like kind of with climate change today, like I've noticed here since I live in Texas, like the summers have gotten hotter. So have the winters, but we also have had some devastating winter storms, which we just didn't really have when I was growing up. But our winter storms are so much worse than they used to be. That's just part of climate change. It changes the entire climate and what you're used to.
That's it. Yeah, that's very similar to my friend Alexander seems to have to bring up why it moved to Oregon on every single stream lately, because people are like, why did you pick there? And so it brings up these charts and it's like, okay, here's the average temperature changes predicted from climatic change. Here's the average agricultural output predicted from climate change, so on and so forth. And like the place Lux picked to go is mostly unaffected with a slight gain in predicted agricultural output. So Lux is like, I won't die and I can farm. So if the world collapses, I'll be mostly okay, probably, hopefully, at least to the best of our ability to determine based on the data we have right now, which is all you can make decisions based on. It's a similar sort of thing. You know, we've been seeing changes to the climate everywhere, not just more severe winter storms, but more severe summer weather, more tornadoes, not just in the tornado places, but in places there aren't supposed to be tornadoes, like the mountainous regions of New York and the middle of Europe. It's not quite day after tomorrow kind of stuff, but it's trending in that direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot more to it than just temperature. I mean, we've had in recent decades huge areas of crop failures because of summer hailstorms.
Yeah.
Like baseball-sized hailstones just flattening entire fields.
I was in Indiana when the derecho from 2020 came through. And holy crap, like I'm in the middle of a city and it knocked down pretty much all the trees in my neighborhood. It was absurd. And I've seen some strong derechos before, but that one was crazy. And yeah, like with this, there was still in the mid 14th century, there were like a ton of crop failures and stuff that were mainly due to an overabundance of rain. So yeah, like I mean, it changes the climate entirely, and any deviation in the climate, unless your crops are really hardy, you're going to have a little bit of a problem, especially when the yields were not what they were today. Like I remember seeing the yields back then could be as low as 1 seed for every 1 seed plant you get 2 back. Now it's like 1 to 30. So
it's true. We've done a lot. Like we were talking about, I think it was yesterday, with the industrial reliance on fertilizer. That's one of the things is we can get a lot more out of a section of ground because of the fertilizer. We're not depending on the ground anymore. That's just a place to hold the plants, you know? That's one of the reasons that hydroponics can work, because in ordinary circumstances, you can't actually grow an entire fruit tree by just spritzing it with water. You know, the water isn't the important part. It needs water, absolutely. And if you need water, well, you know we can help with that. That's a thing we do. You can go to epicwaterfilters.com and enter code number 15 for 15% off. A little maybe I'm getting better at capitalism. Maybe. I don't know.
Nah, you do what you gotta do.
If I continue to not die, then perhaps it'll be good enough.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. There was another. Maybe it'll come back to me later. It's fine.
But like even in the best of times, the crop to seed ratio was like 1 to 7, 1 to 8, like at best. So you're not working with a huge margin like you are today, because I remember seeing not too long ago that we end up throwing out something like 40% of the food we grow or something. So like there is more than enough food for everybody. We just can't get it to everybody. And some people intentionally throw it out because it doesn't look pretty enough.
Yeah, it's so weird to me that people are like, oh, this avocado looks weird on the outside. I'm like, do you eat the outside though? Like, why do you care?
Yeah,
the potato has too many eyes. Do you care though? Like, why does it matter?
Yeah, and they just throw it out when it's perfectly good. So
it's so wild. USDA, which take that with a grain of salt, but hopefully it's data from a couple of years ago, says approximately 30 to 40% of the food supply in the United States is wasted. Equivalent to over 100 billion pounds of food annually. The wasted food, which amounts to roughly 38% of all food produced, costs the economy roughly $218 billion per year and makes up a significant portion of landfill waste, all of which is very fucking stupid. Now, quite a bit of it is intentional. There is intentional planned waste. There's entire fields where crops are grown and then left to rot in order to drive up the prices of that crop. Like, capitalism fucks up everything, but there's also supply chain issues. I mean, none of this should be going into landfills in the first place because it's all compostable, It's just, so many layers of stupid. We are aggressively stupid in this country with our food management.
Very much so.
I mean, well, in fairness, we're aggressively stupid with a bunch of things.
I was about to say.
It's sort of our thing.
And if you want to
You
see
might
how
say.
stupid we can be, tune in after this.
Yeah,
It's been a
join
week.
Lil for politicality. Oh my
We
goodness.
We'll be discussing Trump's speeches, which were a bucket of crazy that I have never seen a bucket that big. I'm just like, oh my God. I literally had to watch the speech like 3 times to make sure I got all the crazy in it. It's insane.
Can you get all the crazy? Holy crap.
No,
Now,
I tried.
people do come here for the tangents. That's why we have the merch and also the emoji. If you'd like to play with the custom emoji, you can do that. It's only 99 cents a month if you want the custom emojis. If you want more stuff, there's higher levels of membership. The next level up gets you access to members exclusive content, members only live streams, a bunch of other stuff. And the top level gets your name in the credits, amongst other things, plus all the other things. But if all you want is the emojis, which includes not just the tangent, but the Lil emoji and the Ember emoji and the Nil emoji and the garlic bread emoji and the Kelly emoji, and there's a bunch, the members vote on the emojis for the most part. And there's a bunch. That's one easy way to support the channel that's fairly low cost, and it helps a lot. So, there's that for your consideration. But tangent, the politics thing, the fucker said, some call me a dictator, but sometimes what you need is a dictator. I'm like, did he just get up on the world stage and call himself a dictator?
Yeah.
Why?
Like, at this point,
did they let him leave? He should have been placed in custody and taken to The Hague while they had him in their jurisdiction.
I don't know. That's the move I would have made. I mean, there's reasons why other world leaders did not show up there, because that's exactly what would happen to them. And they know it, so they didn't bother to go.
Yeah, Netanyahu won't go. So this was the conference earlier this week was Davos in Switzerland, I believe. Again, I'm American. My geography is better than average for an American, but that means it's kind of bad compared to people in the rest of the world. But one thing that's good compared to the rest of the world is our good friend and co-host when she has both the time and feels good, which sadly hasn't been a lot lately, but often co-host Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, has gifted 5 Emberships. Those went to Unapologetically Chrissy, Jonate, Polly has his cracker paints, Nikki Perret, and Amy Nicole Cervantes. I'm sorry, folks. My monitor is really crappy, and I can't see letters very well. But yay, thank you, Kelly, and enjoy, everybody. I hope you find great pleasure in all the assorted fun custom emojis and all the other benefits. And I hope you become permanent members, because it really, really helps. And hopefully it's fun for you as well. So yay. Thank you. Huzzah. All right. We were busily tangenting from the actual point. Yes, Davos. Find out more about that and all the other shenanigans coming up next. This stream will take you directly over to Politicality at the appropriate time. So you don't actually have to push anything, but I will try to put a link in the chat before we wrap, because it doesn't always take everybody over. It'll be fine. But yeah, do stay tuned for that. So we are running a little bit late today. We're going to run over on purpose so that I can send you guys directly to Politicality. Just make sure Joe starts on time this time. Oh, cool. Kelly says Ember, Kelly, and Lil, the female trinity. Fuck yeah. Oh, we can't really do the maiden mother crone thing though. Like in paganism, in Wicca, because like we're all kind of sort of the same age.
True. I think I'm the youngest though out of The three of us.
You might be.
Not about much though. So
yeah, we're all in the same general neighborhood. It's fine. But we could take applications. I'm trying to think in our Java and Jugs group who the youngest person is.
Me.
In that group too? Do you think?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure I'm the youngest. Not by much,
It's
like
possible.
less than a year, but
I don't know. Maybe we should take applications for a designated Zoomer that we can connect with the young people. a token child. We're never beating the allegations, are we? It's fine.
No. Never beating him, just embrace him.
It's true. Bree says, I'm 42. Kelly has declared she is the eldest, which is possible. I don't think we've ever gone through our ages as a thing. We could do an age tier list sort of deal. I don't, it's not that important.
Yeah,
it's
I just turned 41 in December.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm 41. Holy crap.
Well, just one more year and you get the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
True. That is very true.
It's a surprisingly good year. Although you may end up recalculating your entire identity. But that's what happens when you gain more information. Adrian says, I would have thought the J&J crew would come on your stream more often outside of Mondays. Yes and no. So there's a couple of things. This show was originally intended to demonstrate that it was possible to do Java and Jugs every day of the week. We didn't have to just do it. We knew that from the beginning, because when we started it, it was an opportunistic thing. Chris from the Daily Atheist Morning Show went on vacation. He's like, I'm taking a week off. I'm like, we're taking over. And so we just did the thing. We did it every day of the week. But people didn't think it would be sustainable. So I started doing the show to show that it is, in fact, sustainable. We could do it every day of the week. But the thing about it, just like with Java and Jugs, is while we do have a group of women who are welcome, who are wanted whenever they want to be there, there's never an obligation to be there. And this show has the same thing. For example, sometimes we'll do something brain flavored and AJ will drop in. Or sometimes we'll do something extra political and Maya will drop in if she happens to have the day off. It's if you're available and you want to sort of thing. And so sometimes people do, but sometimes they don't. And that's fine too, because that's the point of it, is to be optional, I hope that makes sense. Sometimes I make sense. I'm just a silly.
I'm here if I can be, so.
Yeah, I know, but there's other beings. Europe in the 6th century was having trouble with their beans, you might say.
A lot of trouble.
A lot of trouble. See what I did there? I just connected us right back to the thing. This is why I'm a professional, because I can. Jokes are so much funnier when you explain them. Okay. Right. Temperatures declined to 2.7 C, well below normal. And there's evidence of still another volcanic eruption in 547 that would have extended the cool period. So now we're spanning not just the better part of a decade, but decades. Now, you don't necessarily have to have the same caliber of eruption every time. It doesn't have to be a world ender. A smaller eruption will augment the ash that's still up there from the previous eruptions, making the whole damn thing take even longer to clear out. And that's just rude. That's bad timing. So the volcanic eruptions caused crop failures and were accompanied by the plague of Justinian, or the Justinianic plague. You ever been a Justinianic? I can't, it seems to be inadvisable. It was an epidemic of plague that affected the entire Mediterranean basin, Europe, the Near East, especially the Sasanian Empire and the Byzantine Empire. The plague is named for the Byzantine emperor Justinian the First, and of course there's more, but that's a whole article. Famines, millions of deaths. Now this is, these days we hear about millions of deaths and we're like, oh, that's awful. But in the ancient world, remember, the population of humans, again, to go back to what we were talking about yesterday and have mentioned in previous episodes, chemistry, engineering, all our industrial basis for generating fertilizer. Prior to the discovery of that, the use of chemistry to harvest nitrogen directly from the atmosphere to make the enhanced fertilizer we have today, the human population planet-wide was capped at about 1.2 billion. That was our carrying capacity. That's our natural carrying capacity. We'd been stuck there for a couple of hundred years. We could not make more people because we could not feed more people. In fact, half the planet was constantly starving then too.
Mm-hmm.
It was an issue. It was the industrialization of fertilizers that gave us more humans than we know what to do with. It's more humans than have ever existed before. We still haven't found the new cap, but half the population has been starving the entire time while we throw half the food away. Amazing. We're very good at this.
Mm-hmm.
I digress. The point is, in the ancient world, before we even reached that former population cap, millions of people was a huge percentage of the population. How much depends on which area you're talking about. But whatever time it is, millions of people, it'd be like, for example, today, if we lost 300 million people, the entire population of the United States, like something came through and all of a sudden the entire United States just didn't exist anymore. It would shake the fucking world, Arguably, it might be better for the world, but that's for political reasons, not for population reasons. So these millions of deaths and the climactic disruption initiated the late antiquity Little Ice Age, which lasted from 536 to 660. So we had a plague that started running around and persisted for hundreds of years. We had the fall or at least weakening of major political powers at the time, millions of deaths, crop failures, and a climactic disruption that lasted for over a century. Holy crap. And this is just the long-term consequences. We haven't even gotten to the description of the thing itself.
Yeah, it was bad.
Historian Michael McCormick has called 536 the beginning of one of the worst periods to be alive, if not the worst year.
I agree with. It kind of depends on who you are, but yes, I do agree with that. That's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, we do know of incidents that were demonstrably worse, like back in the pre-Exodus from Africa thing, when all the humans were entirely in Africa. There was a period when our population got down to a few thousand. That wasn't due to a volcanic eruption or a big climactic event, though. It seems to be kind of an attrition sort of deal. We hadn't figured out tools yet, and as a species, we're very squishy, and lots of things find us quite tasty.
We
Evolution
are. I
be
mean,
like that sometimes.
It's one of those things that with humans that you look at, the only advantage we have is the fact that we have brains and we are really, really smart and we can problem solve better than pretty much anybody else or any other animal. We don't have the strength. We don't have the speed. We don't have the claws. We have none of that. We just have pointy sticks.
We're very good with pointy sticks. We're like, well, look, a pointy stick. I can stick things with the stick. Oh, goodness. So we're going to get into the documentary stuff. But first, a quick word from the people who think apocalypses like that are a great fucking idea and are in a big hurry to bring the next one about.
I have a problem with this stuff being normalized across the spectrum. And specifically, like, why push this on kids? Why introduce this to kids?
I am a depraved wretch. I am a great sinner. I'm a worm, completely undeserving of any love or any grace. I'm nothing. I'm nothing.
You're incapable of being a good person. You're an evil person. You're a terrible person. At the core fabric of who you are. That's why we need laws. We need laws because we're bad people. All of us are bad people.
You can't spell Pride Month without demon. PRIDEMONTH.
If we don't know who the women are, because there are just people, then we won't be able to pull the women up to equality with men.
We have to try to limit the harm. And that means reducing or keeping down the number of people who transition. And that's for two reasons. One of them is that every one of those people is a person who's been damaged. But the second one is every one of those people is basically, a huge problem to a sane world.
Transgenderism must be eradicated.
The LGBT, transgender, grooming our children's minds is a national security threat. We need to hold people for treason, start having some public hearings, and start executing people.
I will use whatever gives me victory. I don't care about the truth, and I don't care about the law. I care about one thing, the control.
But then they rigged the election, and now we won, so I'm going to be your president. Then what happened is they rigged the election, and I became president, so that was a good thing.
I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president, but I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian.
I just want to say I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
It was actually a tremendous blessing to these children for them to be killed and go to heaven and be with God.
We've been hoodwinked. We've been taken in by an ideology crafted by creeps and then pushed on children.
Stop letting people pressure you into thinking.
If they die, they die.
I want to be ignorant, honestly.
Being a Christian doesn't exclude us from experiencing spiritual dryness.
We're bad people. All of us are bad people.
John raises a good point. At least Coulter was just upfront with why she was being evil. She was just like,
yeah.
I have no morals. I have no principles. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I remember when that happened, and I pretty much said the same thing. I'm like, hey, at least she's being honest about it. Whereas most of them are not. And oh my God, she's such a piece of work.
Mm-hmm. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't know. But that's probably why I am the way I am, because I've said more than once, I could stop being poor tomorrow if I would just be an apologist,
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't even necessarily have to be Christianity. If I were an Islamic apologist, I wouldn't just be competitive. I would be the best there is, because the Islamic apologists are fucking terrible at it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing, is we have values and integrity. So we don't do that.
Well, I'm not even entirely sure that's it, because we can justify, we can rationalize why we do the things we do. Oh, this person does the right thing because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
That may be true, but I don't think it's causally connected. Like, I cannot do that. I've been desperate enough. I've been in a position where luxuries like honesty and truthfulness go right out the window because it's a matter of survive or not. And I still could not make myself do it. There's something, I don't know, it's something other than like behavioral expectation or even cultural indoctrination. There's something inside me that limits me from being evil in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's God written upon my heart or something, which is weird that the proclaimed Christians don't seem to have that.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be explained with psychology.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe not. But yeah.
Yeah, you're just not trying to believe hard enough. Holy shit. All right, let's get back to work here. We've got a lot of history to cover, and well, we do have some time. Yeah. So, documentary evidence. The Roman historian Procopius of Caesarea recorded in AD 536, or CE, as should be properly noted on an encyclopedia that can be updated in real time, but never mind that. On the wars with the Vandals, those damn Vandals, constantly just, wiping shit out, making messes, tagging things. During this year, a most dread portent took place. Now, of course, this is a translation and someone took liberties, but it's still fun. For the sun gave forth its light without brightness, and it seemed exceedingly like the sun in eclipse, for its beams, the beams it shed, were not clear. Citation. In 538, the Roman statesman Cassiodorus, God damn it, I can't pronounce things.
Yeah, Cassiodorus. I know that one.
It's weird how many historians were actually statespeople,
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's almost like they had so little to do in their political jobs that they were just like, I'm just going to write down history. Although to them, it was recording what was happening right then,
Mm-hmm.
It was almost journalism rather than history, but details. So he described the following to one of his subordinates in letter 25, citation, because we have several of his letters, you see. That's how we know these things. The sun's rays were weak, and they appeared a bluish color. At noon, no shadows from people were visible on the ground. The heat from the sun was feeble. The moon, even when full, was empty of splendor. A winter without storms, a spring without mildness, a summer without heat. A bitter, empty, post-apocalyptic world. Prolonged frost, unseasonable drought. Drought, of course, being just as bad as floods for crops and things. This seemed to be all jumbled up together. The sky, described as blended with alien elements, just like cloudy weather, except prolonged. It was stretched like a hide across the sky and prevented the true colors of the sun and the moon from being seen along with the sun's warmth. Frost during harvests, which made apples harden and grapes go sour. The need to use stored foods to last throughout the situation, which, of course, they couldn't know how long it would be. Subsequent letters, 26 and 27, discuss plans to relieve a widespread famine. It was a bad time. It's no wonder a lot of people thought it was the end, because the world had lost its vibrancy, its life. And while we could still eke out some kind of meager existence, it was nothing on the scale we could be for. And there was no sign of things going back for years. And is there a movie about this? There should be. There fucking should be. Oh, Jason, the moon is actually very, very vibrant. Our atmosphere has never gone back to normal completely, and we only see the moon today. I'm kidding, but there's actually something to that. Hold, please. Lil, give us opinions on what the good Roman wrote, if you would.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that if you can connect, especially with like our modern understanding, you can connect on the way that the sun looked and the way that it was behaving to the famine, obviously. But this is something that would have screwed up the growing season for more than a decade, if not like much, much longer. And this was also at if I remember correctly, it's towards the end of the Roman warm period where like temperatures were pretty decent throughout most of Europe. and then it started getting colder like a century or two after this. So it just kind of screwed everything up.
Yeah, I mean, so we've talked before about how corn is very climate sensitive. And you can't take corn from Texas and just grow it in Iowa. You can only move it like 10 miles and it'll be like, nope, the daylight sequence is wrong, and it just won't grow. So it takes generations to move corn significant latitude levels. Part of it is daylight, but part of it is also temperature, altitude, right? So when you have a situation like this with less sunlight, with wrong temperatures and things, granted, they didn't have corn because that's a New World thing, but the crops they did have, although less sensitive, did have similar sensitivities. Like every crop has ranges. Corn is super sensitive, but everything has ranges. And this kind of event throws everything completely out of its ranges. It's a bad time for all the things.
Wheat can be really finicky too, depending on the type of wheat you have too, which that was the main crop for most. So
okay, I found a couple of things about the moon. First of all, here's a National Geographic image that you may have seen elsewhere and before of the various moons that this is, atmospheric coloration. The moon looks different colors. You've got blood moons, you've got, blue moons, but that's what we call the thing. The moon tends to be reddish or orangish near the horizon, sometimes pinkish. This photographer even caught a purple one. There's haze in the way. You can get all kinds of color for the moon. It's pretty neat. But also, the moon itself can be crazy colorful. Here is a false color image produced by the NASA, apparently. I thought this was ESA, but whatever. It's the ESA website. But you can check the moon for a whole bunch of different things, different wavelengths. In visible spectra, it appears to be grayscale. But if you check infrareds, if you check for emission lines of different elements, there's a whole bunch of different ways you can look at the moon outside of the visible spectrum. And when you do, it gets pretty freaking colorful. And that's pretty neat to me. Also, you could just raise the saturation because there are colors. It just looks grayscale to us.
it reminds me of a few years ago, there was a lunar eclipse and I walked outside. It took me about 2 minutes to find the moon because it was that dark. It was just like, it's the darkest I've ever seen the moon. It was crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't just turn red. I don't know where people get that idea. It gets so much darker. Like if you try to take photos of it during the eclipse process where the moon is going into the shadow, you can either expose for the red part and have the part that's still in direct sunlight blown completely the fuck out, or you can expose for the part that's in sunlight and the red part will be invisible because it's now, to be clear, my camera, my best camera for this sort of thing has a dynamic range of 11 stops. A stop is a doubling or halving of brightness, which means I can double the brightness 11 times, double it. 2, 4, 16. No, that's squaring. You know what I mean? 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So, the numbers get big really, really fast. I can do that 11 times. And it's still in range. Nothing gets blown out. It's outside of the dynamic range of my camera. It's a crazy amount of difference in brightness. So while the moon, when it is completely eclipsed, it's still one of the most visible objects in the sky because it's so fucking big, but it stops being the brightest. Venus is brighter, Jupiter's brighter, Mars is brighter. If there's a nearby comet, it's brighter. Half the visible stars are brighter by absolute magnitude. It's only visible because it's so fucking big. It's as Jason says, that's hella bright. Yeah. It's pretty neat. One of my other favorite effects about the moon is the nighttime illumination. One of my favorite things on summer evenings after the mosquitoes have fed off the wildlife and other humans and have gone the fuck to back to their ponds to lay their eggs and shit, so that the air is still and quiet. And then the clouds part and a moonbeam shines through trees and creates little silver puddles on the grass that you can just walk through in your bare feet, because it's not negative 40 degrees and the air isn't trying to kill you. It's so serene. It's almost elvish. But if you get a clear patch of horizon, you can see the whole sky. When the moon's beams are visible, are hitting the land, you have to adjust your eyes, you have to dilate your pupils, but you can see all the way to the horizon as if it were daytime. You can see roads clearly. You can see the grass with less color, but with greater detail. It's amazing. It's like a whole different, it's like the same world, but in a different version. I don't know.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. I love it out there.
Yeah. I'm such a nerd. I'm a nature nerd. I'm
So
all
am
kinds
I.
of nerds, but right now I'm being a nature nerd. It's all good.
Hey, I love nerds.
It's true. Okay, so in the entry corresponding to the years 536 to 535 to 536, I can read things. It's fine. The early 7th century Mandaean Book of Kings relates, quote, translation, but whatever. Were you to request a tenth of a peck of grain in the land of Gokhe, the location of which is unknown, possibly Mesopotamia, possibly Western Persia, for 5 staters, which appears to be a coin. So, okay. So they want a tenth of a volume of grain from maybe Mesopotamia for a certain amount of coins. We would look, but it would not be found. In other words, if 873 grams of grain could not be purchased for 43 grams of gold, then grain was extremely scarce. Michael the Syrian of the 12th century, a patriarch of the Syriac Orthodox Church, reported that from 536 to 537, the sun shone feebly for a year and a half. Now, he's writing from centuries in the future, so he needs other sources to get that information. The Irish Annals recorded the following. Annals, you pervs. A failure of bread in AD 536 from the Annals of Ulster, and a failure of bread from 536 to 539 from the Annals of Innisfallen. Fucking hell. I'm like mentally pre-pronouncing the words so that I'll sound like I know what I'm talking about, and then I still fuck it up. I do
the same thing. I can't pronounce stuff for shit, so.
The mid-10th century Annales Cambriae recorded for the year 537 the Battle of Camlan, in which Arthur and Medrot fell. Sound familiar? It should. A lot of the shit that happens this year makes it into other legends, like lots and lots of legends. So Arthur and Medrot fell, and there was great mortality in Britain and Ireland. Chinese sources, yes, it's a King Arthur thing. That's one of the sources of what would become the King Arthur legend, but never mind. In the annals of the Tang Dynasty, we should do a show about that, because like a lot of people understand that King Arthur is as real as Jesus in the respect that he's mythological, and the King Arthur we're told stories about never existed. But possibly like Jesus, he could be King Arthur is definitely a literary amalgamation of several other people who did live. And Jesus may be something like that. Bible Jesus never fucking existed, but a person named Jesus could have been his story combined with other people's stories. In fact, there's some things in some of the other stories that makes that seem very likely, but that's a topic for another time. Maybe we should cover it. Let me know in the comments below. Leave us a comment, especially if you're watching this video in the future. Hello, future people. Hit the subscribe button. We're here every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Join us. It'll be fun. But let us know in the comments if we should do a comparison, a historical comparison between literary King Arthur versus literary Jesus. It could be fun.
I vote yes.
Who do you think has less magic? Because we know King Arthur runs around with Merlin, but Jesus is doing all kinds of magic tricks himself. So who do you think is more naturalistic and less magical?
I don't know, actually.
I
don't know.
I digress.
That's an interesting
Chinese sources. The Annals of the Tang Dynasty, which mentions the Great Cold and Famine that occurred in what we call 536. The Zizhi Tongxian, fucking hell, I am so American it hurts. A historical text that mentions the Great Cold and the famine that occurred in the summer. The Nanxi, or History of the South, which describes a yellow ash-like substance from the sky. Further phenomena were reported by independent contemporary sources. Low temperatures, even snow during the summer. Snow reportedly fell in August in China, which caused the harvest there to be delayed. Widespread crop failures, a dense dry fog in the Middle East, China, and Europe. Droughts in Peru, which affected the Mohi culture. There are sources of other sources of evidence, and there's a bunch of citations. So yeah, there's quite a lot in history, and it's so weird. It's so cool. I mean, it's terrible that this happened for a whole lot of reasons. It'd be a nightmare to try to live through this time period. But the fact that even though it happened, we still managed to record it in history is fucking neat.
Yeah.
Like, civilization managed to survive, and whether it had or it didn't, like the fact that every culture in the world seems to bear some kind of record of this, even the ones who were technically in prehistory because they didn't have a written language. Speaking of things recorded in history and written language, Miranda sends us a super chat for $10. Thank you, Miranda. And she says, an Arthur Jesus comparison? Yes, please. I'll try to be awake for it. Neat. I'll add it to my list of proposed upcoming shows. Because I'm trying, folks, scheduling these shows is not easy, because not only do I have to come up with the topic, which has to be both interesting enough that I can cover it, but also people will find it interesting enough to watch. But I have to find the source material to go over the topic. This is Learn Together Live. So it's not just me testifying about shit I'm an expert in. It's not just a college lecture. I'm learning shit too, which is one of the things I love about this show, but it means I have to find the sources so we can do the learning. I have to make the thumbnails, which I am not super fast at. Under the best of circumstances, it takes an entire day to schedule the upcoming week. It's a fuck ton of work. And it does help to have some topics pre-planned so I can keep an eye out for sources that might be useful. It makes it go faster. So if there's things that you think might be a good topic for the show, and better yet, if you have sources for those things, let me know. It could help a lot. Okay. Arthur versus Jesus as literary amalgamations. The exact nature of the topic may shift as I develop it, but it's on the list. It's saved. Huzzah. And thank you, Miranda. Yay. Okay. Right-handed Sith says, the downside to a stream with Arthur as a topic is I can't resist Monty Python references. In fact, I may end up having to do 2 shows. We may have to, before we do the comparison, we may have to do a show like pre-building the knowledge base, like we did with DID. We had to cover internal family systems so people understood the concept of mental structures as sub-personas for DID to make sense. We may have to cover like the historical Arthur, like what there is about the real people that the fictional Arthur was made from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Historical Arthur. Okay. And save. We are saved. Praise the Lord. Who apparently today is Thor because it's Thor's day. So hail Thor or something. I don't know. I'm just trying to be a good heathen, folks. I understand heathens praise Thor, they praise Woden, they praise the sun for some reason on Sunday. It's just I mean, it's there, it's warm, it's the source of life. It, unlike other gods, demands very little of us. It can be cruel, but it can be kind, and it doesn't demand worship. But most of all, we can demonstrate the damn thing exists. Except apparently in 536, because then it just fucked off for a year. It was like, I'm on vacation, bitches.
Yeah,
I digress.
Hey, even gods need a break.
It's true. I mean, Jesus went to go get cigarettes and hasn't been back for a couple thousand years. That's why he's daddy, you know, because
Yeah.
he was like chilling with the disciples. He was like, guys, with these holes in my hand, I could blow the most epic smoke rings ever. And they were like, well, right, but where are you gonna get the cigarettes to blow the smoke? And he's like, hold on, I'm gonna go to a gas station and get some cigarettes. And he's just never cut. I mean, you know, he had to go all the way to the New World for the tobacco. What if he tried to walk across the ocean, because he walks across water, and like a Carcharodon megalodon or something just chomped him, like the biblical story of the dude in the whale kind of thing?
I think the mermaids got him.
It could be. I can't prove they didn't.
I'm going with the mermaids.
Fair enough. Okay, tree rings. Dendrochronology. Michael of Queen's University Belfast in Ireland shows abnormally little growth in Irish oaks in 536 and another sharp drop in 542 after a partial recovery. Citation: ice cores from Greenland and Antarctica show evidence of substantial sulfate deposits in around 534 plus or minus 2, which is evidence of extensive acidic dust veils. And it's important to note, this shit was obviously happening in the northern hemisphere, but the fact that it is evidenced in ice cores in Antarctica means that this was severe enough that it crossed the equatorial boundary. Weather events notoriously do not cross the equatorial boundary.
The thing that I heard was the explanation for that, especially with this, is that the volcanoes that erupted were probably really close to the equator. So it kind of ended up that there was stuff blown to both sides. I can't remember which one it was. I want to say it was the Antarctic one that had less of the SO2 in it, but there was still quite a bit. Still enough that you could like point to it.
Well, I can think of another possibility. Well, a few other possibilities. For one thing, there are things that do cross the equatorial boundary. Like, for example, the CFC chemicals that were causing the hole in the ozone layer, for example. They were mostly being released into the atmosphere in the northern hemisphere, but we were seeing the damage from them over Antarctica. So if you get a chemical into the atmosphere in sufficient quantities, it will spread across the whole atmosphere. And sulfate particles definitely could do that if you have a fuck ton of them. Another possibility is we don't know that there wasn't additional volcanism in the southern hemisphere. There could, you know, when one volcano goes off, it destabilizes the entire fault system. Usually you only get the one eruption and a few related earthquakes all the way around the Ring of Fire. But sometimes an eruption in one place causes an eruption elsewhere along the network of plates.
Mhm.
It's not unthinkable.
There was a big one in Japan a couple years ago, not like the big mega one, but there was no, I'm sorry, it was outside of Russia that caused multiple of their volcanoes to erupt right there that were right next to it. And then the 2004, I think it was, earthquake in the Indian Ocean made earthquakes happen in Alaska. So it's really crazy to realize how all these systems are all connected.
That's one of the reasons that geologists worry about a major meteor impact in the Pacific, because the Pacific makes up a huge part of the Earth's surface. There's a high likelihood that a big impact would hit there. And while the ocean's very deep and it would definitely slow down an impactor, a big enough impactor would carry enough momentum. And if something hit the Pacific plate hard enough, everything along its rim will go off simultaneously. And that means even if the meteor wouldn't end humans, the whole ring of fire going off at once, if you think 536 was bad, we'd be fucked. We'd be completely fucked. Speaking of being completely fucked, not really. I'm bad at segues. This is why I don't get paid much for this job. But anyway, Kelly King, Detroit Atheist Queen, sends us a super chat for $5. Thank you, Kelly, and says the only Arthur I think about is the Aardvark, who also apparently was her ex. No, I have that problem with something. So, as you may be aware, I was sort of promiscuous in my younger days. No, sort of is a misstatement. I was extremely promiscuous in my younger days. I have a lot of exes. And so when people start throwing out random common names for people, often I'll have a brief moment of, who told them, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
It's a bit of a problem. Oh, goodness. Say lovey. But these days, it's easier because, I mean, time doesn't actually heal all wounds, but it helps the scarring process along. But also, there's garlic bread. As long as we've got garlic bread, it'll be fine. Yeah. Priest says if there was a month named after Ember, it would be Slutember. Oh my God, it's true. I can't even be ashamed though. I've never been a shame person. I've always been very sex positive. I just, I've literally have friends try to slut shame me in front of other friends. And I just kind of shrug it off because I don't care. I don't buy into any of that purity culture bullshit. But then other people there at the time are like, is that really true? And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, I need you to come back to my place for a minute. I don't know. It's probably something to do with being my particular flavor of ace. You know, I don't. Well, okay. I'll show the damn shirt because we have merch for this too. My flavor of being ace is I don't feel strong attraction to people unless I feel an emotional connection to them. Like I have to already have feelings for them before I experience physical attraction, right? I don't dislike sex. It's just there's other things that I'd rather do, like play Mario Kart or write a poem or go for a hike or have some garlic bread. So if you want a good time, garlic bread, you know? I mean, sex is fine. Garlic bread is better. That's it, you know?
I concur with that.
Yeah.
That's why I have that shirt. And nobody gets it. Like nobody I know here who has seen me wear it gets it. They're like, why do you have garlic bread on your shirt? I'm just like, oh, if you only knew.
It's almost an inside joke. Almost. Like there are people in the know who are aware, but it's mostly just ace people. Like even in the broader LGBTQIA community, like people are like, what is it with the garlic bread? It's almost exclusively ace people who know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, congratulations. Y'all are kind of on an inside of something. Kind of. Like I said, it's not exclusive. It's just a lot of people have no fucking idea. Oh. Andrew says, come back to my place for a minute. For just a minute. That's not really selling it, right? It'll be real quick, I promise. Oh, I'm sure it will be, darling. Like, do we even need... There's a bathroom right over there. If it's not worth the travel time, like, you know. Sapphire says, I've only heard the garlic bread thing here. I mean...
I've heard it.
I'm the only one that I know of who like talks about it on Maine, but you'll hear others mention it from time to time. Planer Walk, for example, is very aware of it and will use it for comedic value from time to time, but it's only from time to time, and she never explains. She just puts it out there, and whoever knows can help themselves. So it's
damn it,
neat.
you made me hungry now.
Hey, it's not my I didn't bring up Slut Ember.
You do this to me every show. I get hungry.
We could okay, October's my favorite month. We can't hurt October. But if we're gonna have No Nut November, then maybe we could rename the other month on the other side of it Slut Ember. We can have October, November, and then Slutember. And then all the babies will be born in like September ish. Ish. Anyway, I'm so prone to tangents. It's this is why I need a 90-minute show, so I can do, you know, an hour of content and interspersed Ember just talking about random shit. I'm easily distractible. So, yeah.
Hey, tangents are awesome.
Slut Ember has to be a summer month because hotness. Okay, well, August then, because that's when my birthday is. And there needs to be a federal holiday in August. There isn't one. And it can be Slut Ember, and we can have like, instead of Lunacid, we can have like a second Beltane where everyone is just like, if you're not pregnant yet, you're about to be.
I was gonna say September is still pretty damn warm here. So
technically, most of September is part of summer. That's true. Because the autumnal equinox is like 2/3 of the way through the month, maybe even 3/4. Some might say. It's 3/4. Oh, goodness. Miranda says, let's not forget that cake is also an ace thing. It's true. We love food. We love food metaphors. We love food game. Honestly, if you ever want to try to trick me into you don't have to trick me to come to bed. I really am like, it's not important. But if you want to like bribe me into interest into coming, offer me food. I'm very food motivated. Offer me cake, offer me garlic bread. I'll be much more interested in that than whatever genitals you happen to have in your pants. I promise you. I'll be like, okay, sex, whatever. Are there snacks?
Only chocolate chip cookies.
Cookies.
I've got some in the kitchen if they're not gone by now. I'm now worried that everybody went and ate them all and I don't get one.
Well, that's just rude. I wonder. I have brownie mix. I wonder if I can make like brownie cookies. I probably could. I'd have to fuck with the recipe some, but I probably could.
No,
or maybe I'll just make brownies.
I've got one. Either or. Both are good.
It's a possibility, but I digress a lot. I'm just made of digression today. I'm trying to add some cheer and joy to our apocalypse scenario.
Mhm.
Oh goodness. All right. So where the hell were we? It was originally theorized that the climactic changes of 536 were caused by either volcanic eruptions, a phenomenon known as volcanic winter, or impact events. You know, nuclear winter kind of things, like meteors or comets. In 2015, revision of polar ice core chronologies dated sulfate deposits and cryptotephra, probably,
Mhm.
layers to the year 536. They had previously been dated to 529. This is strong evidence that a large explosive volcanic eruption caused the observed dimming and cooling. But Dallas Abbott and her colleagues found spherules containing nickel and copper in an ice core, giving support to an impact event around this time. Now, there's nothing to say it couldn't be both. Because, as we just mentioned, an impact in the right place can trigger impact volcanism. It can set off a fault line, like Crater Lake in the Cascadia region, for example. Like, if you have a big enough impact and it lands on a fault line, if it lands on a magma pocket, if it hits the wrong part, it can cause a rupture. So you could get an impact and an eruption. It's very plausible. It has definitely happened in the past, you know? So, the source of the volcanic eruption remains to be found, but several proposed volcanoes have been rejected. So we have done some science we've hypothesized and then ruled out wrong answers. So here's some of the wrong answers. R.B. Stothers postulated the volcano Rabaul in New Britain and Papua New Guinea. The eruption is now thought to have occurred, it did erupt, but that's thought to have occurred around the year 666. 667 through 699, based on wiggle match radiocarbon dating, which of course is objectively the best way to do radiocarbon dating. Wiggle matching. I love it. That's how I get most of my garlic bread. David Keyes suggested the volcano Krakatoa by shifting a cataclysm in 416 recorded in the Java Book of Kings to 535. Drilling projects in the Sunda Strait ruled out any possibility that an eruption took place there during that time period. So it could be the book was wrong by 100 years and change. Possible, yes. When you're transferring one calendar to another, if it's in the distant past, you can absolutely misplace a century here or there. But the drilling ruled it out. Robert Dull, who is less dull than you might think, and his colleagues proposed a large VEI-7, the Tierra Blanca Joven eruption of the Lopango caldera. I'm probably close.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
It's Lopango. Yeah.
The identification of TBJ tephra in ice cores narrowed the eruption date to 529 or 45. I can't even read numbers now. 429 to 433. Christopher Lovelock and colleagues proposed Iceland volcanoes based on shards from a Swiss glacier. However, the cryptotephras dated exactly to 536 are geochemically distinct from Iceland tephra. And the shards in the Swiss glacier have large age uncertainty. Geochemical analysis of the 536 cryptotephras, I keep trying to say a different word, distinguishes at least 3 synchronous eruptive events in North America. So we've got it pinned to North America, probably. Further analysis correlates one of the eruptions to a widespread monocrater tephra identified in Northeast California. The other 2 eruptions most likely originated in the Eastern Aleutians or the Northern Cordilleran volcanic province.
That is one I can never pronounce. I read it all the time, and I cannot pronounce it to save my life. I've heard it pronounced about 6 times.
It's the Pacific Northwest. It's Cascadia. It's fine. It's just fucking Cascadia. To hell with it. Oh, Jeebus. Somebody said something that I wanted to get to, but it's kind of escaping on me. It got away. Mark says, August, mine is the 11th. My oldest is the 11th, and my youngest is the 13th, but mine is the 24th. So hooray. Bree says Slutember will fall between August and September so that it's antipodal to Smarch.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. Blame my typo. Let's see. Slutember the 11th. Ember will take the garlic bread to ground zero. Oh no. That sounds like a religious ritual. I don't want to get caught up in a religion. That'll get weird. I mean, I don't mind when people worship me, but like if I have to do holy duties and things, that's an obligation. Let's see. Aunt Jer says maybe try spreading the brownie batter super thin on a sheet pan. I might try that for science to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
I'll at least end up with super thin brownies. Mark says, who would want to date radiocarbon? That sounds like a dull date. I mean, it could be very exciting depending on how active the radiocarbon is. Oh my. Oh my. I can't find the thing I wanted to respond to though. I don't know where it went. Goodness. I see you all out there. I appreciate everybody in the live chat. I just can't quite get to everything, and then I lose track of the things I want to mention, and it just we're I can only do so much, folks, but I appreciate y'all being here. Okay, let's see.
I was going to say, and speaking of appreciating people being here, thank you guys very much. I have a show in 30 minutes, and I need to go eat something because Ember made me hungry for garlic bread and cookies. So now
You're welcome.
I will see you guys later. Bye.
Doodles. Yep, Lil is off to get ready for the next show, which is a scenario that those of you who watch on Monday are very familiar with. When I do Job and Jugs, I have to scoot early to get the Learn Together Live ready, because not only do I have to pull up a different show window, I have to like load the research and get the windows ready. Like, in order to properly produce a show, I have to not only be in the software, but I have to have YouTube Studio open so I can keep track of the stream, which, tells me not only stream signal strength, but also on the off chance that I'm triggering the copyright bots, they will give an alert for a while before they actually shut the stream down. There's very little chance of that on this show, but it has happened before. And so it's just good advice to keep the studio open during a show, just in case. And then I also have an instance of the show actually on YouTube with the live chat live. That's how I get into there to do the emojis and things, because I have to have the live chat open in order to do that. And any other stuff I need to have go on over there. And then there's the window with whatever information I'm showing. Today, we only have the one page, but sometimes there's a bunch of pages I need to keep track of. So there's quite a lot of prep I need to do for any given show. It's a whole thing. But I digress. We can continue on, and we will, but I want to take another break because my poor mouth is getting all worn out. And silly me, I want to do a bonus show later today if I possibly can. That's a survival thing, right? Like, I have some bonus shows ready to go. I go with what I can and have the energy to do, but like, I need to do more shows because I need to afford food and things, and like, shows are how I do that. So I need to do more shows. I need to try to at least do 2 shows a day whenever possible. Not every day, but whenever possible. And today is a day that it's technically possible. So I have to try to do a bonus show. But there's a lot else going on. There's politicality after this. There's Takis after that, which I don't have to schedule around other shows. I don't have to do that. Those are just shows that I personally like to watch. So But I may do a bonus show at any time. So make sure not only are you subscribed, but you have the bell rung, because otherwise you could miss out on all kinds of fun things like conspiracy theories. That's another thing we do here is debunk conspiracy theories. But I'm mentioning that specifically because the quick break I'm going to play is about that. Do enjoy.
Are you feeling the world is leaving you behind? Do you look at all the pseudoscience, rumors, and wild speculation on the internet and wonder, why can't I do that? Well, friend, you can. We can help you. We are ConspiraWin. ConspiraWin has a long history of helping anyone with a hidden truth. We will get your message out. The conspiracy theories you see today all started out with one person's vision. The moon landing hoax was launched by a NASA engineer whose manager didn't okay his vacation request. ConspiraWin was there to help out. Christianity started out because one little girl named Mary got pregnant out of wedlock, and ConspiraWin saved the day. Now, the virgin birth is accepted Catholic doctrine. You may be thinking, but my idea of the center of the earth being made of ice is far-fetched. No one's going to believe that. In a world where people believe windmills cause cancer, we say no dream is too big. ConspiraWin will take your fledgling idea and feed it to our YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok operatives. And these savvy social media professionals will raise doubts with the prevailing scientific consensus. They will say, no one has ever seen the planet's core except Jesus. And science is wrong all the time. That's why science has theories and not Jesus. Within 30 days, we guarantee you CNN will run a story on how your conspiracy theory isn't true. We will also give you 100% assurance Fox News will say your crazy idea about the Earth's core being an icy ball is true. Follow your heart. Listen to the voices no one else can hear. Team up with ConspiraWin.
Hell yeah. It's one of my favorites. I'm so glad. I was pestering Chris from the Daily Atheist Morning Show to brand those and make them available to other creators for ages, because it's short of the Pharaoh's Curse, which it's a song that he actually has on Spotify and whatnot. He makes money off of, so he can't do it with that one. But the out of the commercials, that's my favorite one. I do have a couple others he made available, but that was my favorite. Anyway, speaking of conspiracy theories, Miranda says, my mouth is getting all worn out. Should definitely be taken out of context. Not could be, should definitely. And let me just say that while there are pluses and minuses with having prosthetics for mouth equipment, having removable parts certainly makes having your mouth worn out a whole lot easier and apparently more enjoyable for your clients. Just saying. Okay, continuing on. We're actually doing a thing here. My goodness. Historic consequences. Here we are, the consequences. What did the cataclysm precipitate? And this is how we learn about what a possible nuclear winter might do to the Earth, for example, because it's the same kind of huge scale devastation. So the event in 536, my chords are being weird all of a sudden. Weird chords. I don't understand why. I'm gonna put this ribbon on my hat because I wanna, because it's like right there, and now I'm even more fabulous. Hooray. The event in 536 and the ensuing famine have been suggested as an explanation for the deposition of hoards of gold by Scandinavian elites at the end of the migration period. The gold was possibly a sacrifice to appease the gods and get the sunlight back. This, incidentally, may have something to do with why there are Celtic legends about fae folk with hoards of gold at the end of the rainbow. Because a rainbow, of course, means the sunlight is about to return. Possible. It's only a possible. Mythological events such as the Fimbulwinter and Ragnarok are theorized to be based on the cultural memory of the event. A book written and citation, and it's an important citation because a lot of this is like not just hypothesized, it's theorized. It's a working model with evidence to support it. And that's pretty neat. Like to say Ragnarok is a thing that already happened. It isn't a prophesized apocalypse. It's something we've already lived through, and why we have the weird world we have today instead of the one all the creation myths describe. Because we're post-apocalypse, which, based on the description of this catastrophe, is literally true. A book written by David Keyes speculates that the climate change has contributed to various developments, such as the emergence of the plague of Justinian, the decline of the Avars, the migration of Mongol tribes towards the west, and the end of the Sasanian Empire, the collapse of the Gupta Empire, the rise of Islam, the expansion of Turkic tribes, and the fall of Teotihuacan. A lot of shit went very badly, and parts were put in motion that would reshape the future. Remember, the Mongols and then later the Golden Horde, centuries after them, both would send waves cascading across Europe that would reshape all of history. In 2000, the 3BM television production for WNet and Channel 4, that's a BBC thing. I don't know why BBC and related companies don't name things. Like, there's Channel 4 in the UK, there's Channel 9 in Australia. That's the ABC, but that's an offshoot of the BBC. Not important. They capitalized on Keyes' book. The documentary, under the name Catastrophe: How the World Changed, was broadcast in the US as part of PBS's Secrets of the Dead series, which I now want to look into more, because I did not know about that, because we do not market our PBS enough. I don't think we have PBS anymore, but whatever. I want to look into it. So I'm gonna open that in a new tab, and I will look at it later. However, Keyes and Wallace's ideas lack mainstream acceptance. Reviewing Keyes' book, British archaeologist Ken Dark. What a name for an archaeologist. He's dark. Dr. Dark, digging in the bones, in the crypts and things. My goodness. He commented that much of the apparent evidence presented in the book is highly debatable based on poor sources or simply incorrect. Nonetheless, both the global scope and the emphasis on the 6th century CE as a time of wide-ranging change are notable, and the book contains some obscure information that will be new to many. However, it fails to demonstrate its central thesis and does not offer a convincing explanation for the many changes discussed. So, pluses and minuses. It can introduce you to new information, but the conclusions aren't supported, and some things are wrong. So you got to be careful. Be careful with that one. It would be better if Dr. Dark wrote a better book. Then we could read Apocalypse by Dr. Dark. And how fucking cool would that be? I digress. Philologist Andrew Breeze argues that some Arthurian events, including the Battle of Camlan, are historical, happening in 537 as a consequence of the famine associated with the climate change of the previous year. Historian Robert Bruton argues that this catastrophe played a role in the decline of the Roman Empire. I mean, yes, absolutely. So Western Rome was already kind of fucked. They were losing left and right, but they were still technically a coherent political entity. But also the East began its decline about this time. It took the East much, much longer, but Deviant says the Fimbulwinter and Ragnarok hypothesis was proposed by my old professor emeritus, PhD Bo Grosslund, about 15 years ago. He's been working on it since. Neat. I wonder if we can... First of all, does he speak English? Second of all, do you think we could grab him for a show? Like, we could do a foreign invasion. We could have a Swedish takeover. We could have two Embers and we could have Ember and two Swedes. Holy shit! I can't even speak English. It's fine. Oh yeah. What are we talking about? Oh, Weedbro had a comment eaten by the YouTubes. That's unfortunate. I don't necessarily see it myself, but I don't know what we're looking for. Sometimes I can see if YouTube like auto blocks a comment, it'll show me, which is another good reason to have Studio open. Oh, I should have, it did the thing where the stream started and it reset itself to top instead of live, which is just rude. It's very rude. No, I'm just glancing through, but I'm not seeing. I see right-handed Sith's comment that sex is boring, dull, and worthless, but garlic bread is enjoyable. But I don't see. Yeah. For fuck's sake, Spooky says 2 Swedes, 1 Ember. I just can't get away from adult content on this stream. I can't say I hate it though. Oh. Okay, we're almost. It's fine. Robert Bruton argues the catastrophe also played a role in the decline of the Roman Empire. And here's a bunch of see alsos. The Minoan eruption, which, oof, Thera, rip. Now remember, Thera and Crete are not the same thing, but that civilization spanned a whole lot of distance. Fimbulwinter, here we go. The immediate prelude to the events of Ragnarok in Norse mythology. The grape famine. Not the grape famine. Oh no. The Great Famine of 1315 through 1317 was a series of large-scale crises that struck parts of Europe early in the 14th century. Most of Europe was affected. The famine caused widespread population loss over an extended number of years, making it a clear end to a period of growth. That's shortly before a big old plague swept through, and like Europe was having a very hard time. I mean, the whole world was having a very hard time. Zorcross says garlic bread is an aphrodisiac, however. I tend to agree, but I'm also very biased in favor of garlic bread. It's sort of a thing. I am not, what's the term for it when you're attracted to food? Foodosexual, whatever. Like, I enjoy food, but it doesn't like turn me on, I don't know. It's difficult and not the topic of the stream. Not me saying something is off topic. Oh goodness. Jason says hungry. I'm getting there. It's just about technically it's slightly late to feed the Ember, but I can move my lunch around a little bit, which I'm doing so that this stream can take you over to Lil's show with Joe, the Kentucky Atheist, Politicality, coming up next. So enjoy this apocalypse and then enjoy political apocalypse. It'll be fun. It'll be fine or something. I don't know. I just work here, folks. I just work here. I'm trying to survive, trying to get by. Now I'm all kinds of fucking worked up. Damn it. I mean, it could be worse. It definitely could be worse. Oh, Aunt Jer says I call myself a food whore, if that helps. Fair enough. I could definitely see that being me. Listen, I've only taken money. You know what? We're not going there. Nope, we're not going there. All right, notes, references. There's a lot of references. I thought there was more article. I didn't expect there to be all this reference. There is an external link, 536 and all that. Let's check it out. We've got a couple of minutes. Let's see what's going on here. 536 and all that 530 Yito do eso. Oh shit, we're in multiple languages, aren't we? What are we doing? Why is some of this in Oh, okay, here's a link to the German version. So we've got the English version. It's fine. Okay. During this year, a most dread portent took place, for the sun gave forth its light without brightness, and it seemed exceedingly like the sun in eclipse, for the beams it shed were not clear. This quote from Procopius, okay, of Caesarea is matched by other sources from around the world, pointing to something, often described as a dry fog that accompanied by a cold summer, crop failures, and a host of other problems. There's been a TV special, books, and much newsprint speculating on its cause. Volcanoes, comets, and other catastrophes have been suggested. But this week, there comes a new paper in GRL by Larson et al., which may provide a definitive answer. En este año nuevo, un termido. My accent is terrible, I know. I'll just let it go. It's long been known that tree rings, such as the one pictured from Arizona, which isn't because it's a broken link, often show an extremely small growth ring for 536 CE. You can count back from the marked AD 550 ring. In fact, if you look at the mean anomaly in a whole range of tree ring constructions, this event stands out along with 1601 and 1815, which are known volcanic events, as being exceptional over the last 2,000 years. So 1815 is the Tambora eruption. 1601, I'm not familiar with this one. It looks like it says Huaynaputina. Maybe that's another thing we could learn about sometime. But 8536, boom. Goodness. That is, so we can see like the huge downward spike. These other volcanic eruptions are downward points, but 536 is a spike. It goes for years. That's an oof. Average of the high-frequency components of northern European tree ring reconstructions from Larson et al. The filtering ensures that uncertainties in long-term trends, which are not important in this context, don't confuse the issue. That, of course, being like long-term climate change, because over this much time, there is room for climate change. These data match the written sources quite well. However, tying it to a cause has always been plagued with problems of chronology. An initial attempt to tie this event to a volcanic pulse in the DYE3 ice core in Greenland foundered when the chronology was revised to put that 20 years earlier. However, there has recently been a concerted effort to place all the Greenland ice cores on a common timescale based on annual layer counts by Wittner et al. Because all the cores are being counted together, ambiguities in one can be corrected by reference to the others. Once the dates have been better established, the sulfate records, which generally show the impact of volcanic aerosols, can be examined to see if they line up. And lo and behold, they do. Let me check on the time. Okay, we have a few more minutes. The second peak in the picture is dated to 534 CE, which is close enough to 536 given the 1 or 2 year uncertainty in the counting. Note that 534 is actually smaller than the one a few years earlier. In assessing the importance of an eruption, though, it isn't enough to have just a peak in Greenland. That could simply signify an eruption that was close by. Instead, people look for a matching peak in Antarctica. Ice core to ice core on opposite ends of the planet. The planet itself becomes a photographic record of chemical events that took place in distant history. The whole planet becomes a photographic plate. It's fucking cool when you think about it. This is how we started to get photos of black holes, by the way, is we built a planet-sized camera by using the planet. Anyway, I digress. This signifies that the eruption was likely tropical, and the aerosols were carried into both hemispheres by the stratospheric circulation. Here is where previous attempts often faltered. The dating of ice cores in Antarctica is less exact than in Greenland because the accumulation is slower. It doesn't snow as much. However, the relatively new Droning Maudland core has comparable resolution to the Greenland ones, and this one does have a clear sulfate peak at about 542 plus or minus 17 years. That is in range to be a match for 536 in Greenland. The correction you'd need to make to align them exactly would also fix some other apparent offsets for smaller events in the subsequent 100 years. So, it's probably that it was a volcano somewhere in the tropics, and that it was likely the size of Tambora in 1815. There has been some speculation that it was an earlier eruption of Krakatoa, which went off again in 1883, but that is uncertain as there are numerous consequences, such as the fall of Rome and the rise of Islam, which have been attributed to this event. And that's how it changed history, right? Like the plague of Justinian interfered with things for generations. The famines caused lasting problems, but putting in motion the fall of Rome and the rise of Islam, both of those shaped history. Like everything since then has been at least impacted by it, which have been attributed to this event. While not exploring that too deeply, this quote from Michael the Syrian indicates dramatically the potential for climate events like this one to really spoil your day. I love the phrasing. I love it. Quote, the sun was dark and its darkness lasted for 18 months. Each day it shone for about 4 hours, and still this light was only a feeble shadow. The fruits did not ripen, and the wine tasted like sour grapes. Estacita de preocupados. Sometimes I can do it. Sometimes I can just rattle off Spanish like it's nothing. Pañales con cintas reajustables para niños y niñas. I can do that, just not when I'm trying to. You know? My tongue. It's so treacherous, so traitorous. And this is the same thing over again in Spanish. So yeah, that's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. Alrighty, folks. We have actually completed our information. We've explored our topic, or at least everything I had prepared. Of course, there's always more. There's always side tangents, more tangents that actually are related to the topic instead of just me talking about random things. But it's pretty fucking cool. And I do love it when we actually finish a thing. This was an apocalyptic horror. It was a nightmare for the people all over the earth. And it changed history. We can only imagine what the world would have been like. There were wars, there were famines, there were plagues, as there always have been. But this event caused all of them, and caused a lot of years where people had legitimate reason to be scared. They didn't have the science to understand the atmosphere would eventually clear. There definitely would have been prophets and preachers running around saying the end is upon us. And some people would have followed them out of desperation, out of fear, out of religious zealotry. Who's to say? The world changed a lot, irrevocably. The pieces got put in motion that would cause the eventual fall of Rome, the potential rise of the Dark Ages, the spread of Islam, the collapse of Byzantium, triggering the Renaissance, all sorts of things. The Chinese lost technology between the early centuries and when the Europeans made contact. Part of that likely happened in this period. It affected so much. And we can't ever know what the world would have been like if not for that. But possibly most importantly, it gives us a warning. The earth can be cruel and unpredictable. If this was a volcanic eruption, that's one thing. If it was a comet, if it was a meteor, we can see those coming, but there's not a great deal we can do about them. Whatever the origin of that catastrophe, it was apocalyptic. And it could happen again at any time. Ooh. Thank you all so much for joining. It's, as always, a great pleasure to get to spend time with you folks every single day. If you're new here, we are here every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern with a new topic, all sorts of interesting things, because I'm interested in basically everything. And this is one of my favorite things to do. So do hit the subscribe button. It helps ever so much. Join us if you're watching in the future. Ring the bell so you can join us live. It would be wonderful to see you in the live chat. You've seen us engage with as many of the comments as I could reasonably get to over the course of the show. It's ever so much fun. And keep an eye out for bonus shows when I can manage them. But this stream will take you over to the Kentucky Atheist for politicality. Do go support our friend Lil and, of course, our friend Joe. And as always, remember, you don't have to believe in whatever some random apocalypse preacher has to say, because apocalypses happen whether prophets want them to or not, because you are better than religion. Toodles. Mwah. Thanks to all our patrons and top-level members for December. Miranda, Karen Butcher, Jessica the Transmetal Alchemist, Robin Webster, Maya Adkison, Jimmy Tux, Ian Chen, Lilith, Ember Lynn, The Barely Bearable Atheist, Eric Wander, Jason Jacoby, Lil of All Trades, Deviant Outcast, Kelly King, the Detroit Atheist Queen, The Mighty Filbert, Secular Feelinist, and Geo Sam. And you can add your name here next month by signing up at patreon.com/betterthanember, or by joining Emberships here on YouTube at the Cinder level, which includes all the custom emojis, tons of member-exclusive content, member-only live streams, and a bunch of other stuff. I deeply appreciate all the supporters who keep this channel going. Thank you so much. Because of you, we're building a wonderful community that I'm very proud of.
Just like a spark that's breaking